Section 1.9, Evaluate and Simplify Expressions. It says to substitute the given values in the expressions and simplify. We're going to keep all decimals and round until the very end. This is a common problem when students are computing with decimals. They start to round very early, and then at the end, you've done so much rounding that the number is incorrect. So make sure that you are keeping as many decimals at the beginning and rounding until the very last step. Number 1, evaluate the following expression. When k equals 3, leave as a simplified fraction. All we have to do is substitute our values. So we have 1 minus 1 over, and k is 1/3. So we have 1 minus 1/3. We are looking for an answer in a fraction. Since the right term is a fraction, let's make the left one a fraction. So I'm going to do 1 over 1. Remember, any number over 1 is a fraction. And then notice we need common denominators. The common denominator here would be 3. So we're going to multiply 1 times 3 times 3. If you can do this all in one step, by all means do so. I'm showing for those that need a little bit more steps, 3 minus 1 now on the numerator. And the denominator stays at 3, and we're left with 2/3. And we want a simplified fraction. Don't turn thirds into decimals. They do not go well unless you're being asked to. Try number 2. Let's take a look at number 3. Evaluate the following expression when x equals 68.5 and mu equals 105.3. Round to the nearest tenth. So here you notice they are asking you to round. Make sure that you're not cutting off, rounding, chopping off too many decimals until the very end. So let's substitute x is 68.5 minus mu is 105.3 squared. 68.5 minus 105.3. Let's use our calculator. I have 68.5, 105.3. That's going to be negative 36.8. I like to write everything out, follow my order of operations so I don't skip steps. I think often when we try to skip steps and be really fast is when all these mistakes come about. This part right here is so important. I want you to notice something. It is so different when we use parentheses versus not using parentheses. Let me go ahead and show you this. If I put negative 36.8 squared, that's going to give me negative 1,354.24. And if I use parentheses, negative 36.8, close my parentheses squared, that's going to give me positive 1,354.24. Which of these is correct? They're both different answers. The correct answer is, of course, the one with the parentheses. If your expression has parentheses, you should also be using parentheses in your calculator. Make sure that you do so. So our answer right now is positive 1,354.24. Another way to know this is that it's asking you to square the value negative 36 times negative 36. That's what a square does. So negative times a negative is a positive. We're almost done. We did all the calculations. All we have left is the rounding. Round to the nearest tenth. This is the tenths place. So I look here, and that's what helps me make the decision. 4 is less than 5. So the 2 stays, and I'm going to go change to squiggly equal sign. And my 2 stays. Remember, your options are to stay the same or go up 1. Number 4, you're going to try. That one looks very similar to the mean we've done before. Let's take a look at 5. Evaluate the following expressions when Q1 is equal to 23 And Q3 is equal to 30. Round to the 10th place. Let's take a look at A. Q1 is 23 minus 1.5 times Q3 is 30 and Q1 is 23. Let's follow our order of operations. Order of operations tells me to do parentheses first. So I'm in here in my parentheses. Every time I do something, I write my equal sign and I write all the numbers that I haven't used. So I have 30 minus 23 is 7. So I did parentheses. Now, maybe you're thinking, well, you still have parentheses right here. No, if you look inside the parentheses, I got rid of all of the things to do inside the parentheses. So now I move forward and I think, is there exponents? No. Is there a multiplication? Yes. Where do you see a multiplication? I hope you see it here. Okay. Now, my multiplication can also encompass my negative. It depends how you like to think about it. So if I do 1.5 times 7, then my answer will be 23 minus answer. Okay. If I do negative 1.5 times 7, then once I get my result, it'll be 23. This will stay negative, so it'll be minus answer. I know that seems like I just said the same thing, but the thoughts are a little bit different, okay? So make sure you're paying attention to what you are using. I like to multiply just the numbers and keep the operation. So I'm going to have 23 minus, let's bring out our calculator, 1.5 times 7. And that gives us 10.5. 23 minus 10.5. 23 minus 10.5 is 12.5. The last instruction was to round to the 10th place. And if you notice, that's all that's left is a 10th place. So we have our answer. Number 7. Evaluate the following expressions when n is 15. This one is different from all of the other ones. They're giving us a whole expression, okay? So every time you see this, the value is 201 and 53 hundredths. This one is also a whole expression, so treat it as such. Whenever you see all of this, we substitute 3,478 and 61 hundredths. Let's take a look. So this expression, the first one I see, matches what was given to me here. So I have 201.53 minus, and then here's my second expression. That goes on the numerator, 3,478 and 61 hundredths, divided by n. In this case, n is 15. Order of operations. Let's do this. Parentheses, do I have any? No. Do I have exponents? No. Do I multiply or divide? Yes, I see a division. So I see this division. Let's take care of that. 3,478.61 divided by 15. Do you see that horrible decimal that we got? You need to keep it. You need to keep it, and you cannot cut off a bunch of decimals. Otherwise, your answer will be way off by the time I'm finished doing all sorts of calculations and chopping off all sorts of numbers. You need to make sure to have it. So now we have 201.53 minus 231. Good thing we have a calculator. You're not doing this by hand. We have a value of, and I'm going to change this to a squiggly because we're approximating already, and we're going to start cutting off a bunch of numbers. And so this problem asked us to round to the thousandths place. So this is tens, hundreds, thousands. This is the place, and this is where I look. This is what helps me decide. So we're at negative 30.37, and then the 7. The 3 is less than 5, so I don't change. I don't go up 1. And we're left with negative 30 and 377 thousandths.